Okay, guys, let's be adults here. When you first saw the scene either through the manga or the anime episode that aired today, you're not going to tell me you didn't have these emotions swell inside of you. Amusement, disgust, and in some way, respect towards Power's character for even being able to say something so shameless without really any worry whatsoever. It's an absolutely hilarious scene, because obviously, when you see this scene, people are gonna write it off as hilarious. Like, they're just gonna write it off as disgusting, but hilarious, and that's about it. That's the end of discussion right then and there for this entire scene. But the thing about this is that this scene is multi-layered, just like the toilet paper in that toilet. Okay, I'm laughing at my own joke, but anyways, basically, Power, this is multi-layered, okay? Jokes aside, it really speaks a lot about her character and Fujimoto's writing. Like, Fujimoto is an incredible writer, and he has demonstrated his skill in different ways throughout the series thus far, just with these first 4 episodes. But I think this scene in particular really just says a lot about how he writes female characters, but also how he takes a very different, in some ways, shameless approach to some of the characters. Like, this scene, it just shows that Power on the surface, she looks beautiful, she looks like waifu material, but she does not flush, she occasionally bathes, and it's like, oh my goodness, is this really a thing that I'm reading for subtitles on an episode? It's legitimately just shocking, jaw-dropping, and it's just like, oh my goodness, I can't believe this. And then when Denji says this at the end, like when he literally says she's an angel, like when he literally calls her an angel, it's so good. It's so good. It's legit so good seeing Denji call her an angel after everything. What makes this scene so great is that she's literally just sitting on a toilet seat after seeing everything with him trying to clean, and you just see her acting like she's literally on a throne. She's acting like she's on her throne, like she's the queen. And you just see him like, oh, she's an angel after everything we just read. Oh my goodness, it's such a good scene, and it really just goes to show how good Fujimoto's writing is for comedy. And adding in these scenes that are just so hilarious, but also kind of serious at the same time, to also the animators and everyone that was on this episode, adding so much attention to detail, not just for, like, the action sequences that was at the beginning of this episode, but for this scene right here with Power. Just like, dude, they went all in. They legit went all in for this, and man, I am loving this anime so much. It is just giving me so much joy, as you can see. It really is wonderful seeing these scenes just brought to life through animation, because it adds so much life to it that you cannot get from just the manga. But, okay, I'm gonna stop talking about this. Let's get into the actual thing here. The importance of this scene, I guess, with Denji being able to achieve his goal of squeezing or fondling a chest. You know, he achieved his goal, okay? Now, this obviously isn't the person that he probably wanted to do it with. He wanted Makima, but this kind of goes along with what I've been talking about with the previous episodes, that Denji isn't necessarily just wanting Makima, he just wants to be able to do his objectives, for instance, fondle a chest. And regardless of how shameless or deprived that dream is, or however you want to view it, hilariousness, whatever, the point is that he just wants to accomplish that goal. And the question is when he accomplishes that goal, what's his next goal? That is the question that appears in your mind. And this goes along with what I've been also talking about with the human drive of wanting more. For instance, we all set goals for ourselves, many goals throughout the day. Like, for instance, when you first get up in the morning, maybe your goal is to go to the bathroom or go get a cup of coffee. Who knows? Or maybe you're getting ready for school or work, whatever. Your first objective is just to get ready for whatever you got to do in that morning. And let's just say maybe you don't have school or work that day. Let's just say your objective now is to get up and get on a game and play a game. Everybody has a clear small goal that they set for themselves usually every single day. And when you accomplish these goals, you move on to the next goal. And Denji is a perfect representation of that. Is that as we complete goals, we always put another one up. Subconsciously or sometimes we're aware of it. One or the other. It just we put goals up for ourselves to continue to work forward towards. At least that's what I do. I don't know if everyone's like that, but that's at least what I do, and I've seen from just a lot of people that seems to be the case. And so when you see this scene, Denji obviously has accomplished what he wanted, and so what is next? What will he want next? What is something that he wants to obtain to fulfill himself before, he feels like he needs to move on to the next goal? So it's a really beautiful moment just seeing a little bit more about the human psyche, and I think that Fujimoto really does a good job with this, and which is why I've always gravitated towards stories like Chainsaw Man, why I liked, Tokyo Ghoul, for instance, or Berserk. I love stories that really show human characters really showing the true aspects of humanity. I've always loved, stories like that, and it's why Denji is easily in my top 5 favorite protagonists. I love Denji as a character, because I know many that, watch this episode, they're gonna love him because, his goal is hilarious. Yes, his goal is hilarious, wanting to touch a chest. Yeah, fine. But when you really get down into it, you want to dive into the core part of his character. I love just the depth of his character and what it really just means for the story. This is why Denji's in my top 5. And I don't just say that because of this episode. I say it because I'm a manga reader, and I have finished part 1 Chainsaw Man. And because of that, I love Denji. I think he's an incredible character. You could really write a credible paper on him as a character, and I could probably go in length for hours, maybe, even just dissecting every single moment of his character because of just how excellent it is. But, okay, let's talk about this action sequence, because I know everybody's going to be raving about this action sequence that happened in the middle of the episode, because it's insane. It's legitimately an insane action sequence, seeing Denji go around this Leech Devil, trying to take them out, and just everything about this scene. It's just beautiful, until Aki shows up and the whole squad shows up. It is an incredible display of animation and art, and it really shows that the staff that is working on this is not holding back. And I believe the person that was directing this episode, don't quote me if I'm wrong, okay? Because I probably could be wrong here. But I believe the director or animation director of this episode was the Black Clover animation director or something. I could be wrong there. Forgive me if I am. But the point I'm trying to make is that just everyone working on this episode, they went in on so many different scenes, so little nods and animation sequences that just brought this whole episode to life. Yeah, the first thing you're going to get from this episode is obviously this fight sequence. It's great. But I want to point out some other subtle little scenes. Like this scene right here, where you see Aki, he's preparing, the apples and he's making the bunnies. It's so much movement in this scene. And it's actually incredible just how much attention to detail it is for a scene like this. Because let's be honest, you don't need to go that far. But they did. They did. They could have done an overview bed shot of just Denji looking over at Aki and that's about it, and hide his hands, and you just hear the scraping of him making an apple. But they decided to show him maneuvering an apple and cutting it, and these little things go a long way to add a lot of immersion to a show. And I think that the immersion of this anime really is at an all-time high. You see a lot of character movement. When Aki goes to Makima here, when he's going over to report the day, you see this moment where he's straightening his tie, he's fixing his suit and all that, and everything about this scene just adds a lot more to his character that didn't necessarily need to be there, but it was added in. This full-length scene of showing his reflection, the way the color and art is contrasted to the background, to the foreground, everything about this scene really is incredible to just demonstrate the attention to detail for the immersion of this show. And it's honestly just insane, especially with Makima, when she pulls her hair back and all that, and then you see them walk in. Just everything about these little scenes adds so much life to where you just can get drawn into the Chainsaw Man episode and forget about everything else going on around you. That's why I like the show, and I think that this is stuff that needs to be talked about, because everybody is going to mention the fight sequence, or maybe the power stuff at the beginning of this video I did. But I think that scenes like this with Makima and Aki is just so great, because you just see these little details, like the reflections. There's so many little things they did here that I can't believe how well done they did. Like, even blurring Makima here to give attention to the background with Aki right here, and, you know, Makima in the foreground is blurred. Just these little animation techniques and stuff really just show who we should be focusing on, who we should not be focusing on, or keeping things out of sight for symbolic purposes. Just, I love this. It's really good. Now, I do want to talk about Aki for a second, because I think this is a very important scene that does need to be touched up upon. Makima makes it very clear that Aki has changed in some way, or seems more flexible. And the reason for this is because if this is the Aki that we were introduced to, you know, a few episodes back, we would assume that Aki never would have hid the truth from Makima about what happened with, you know, Power and Denji. But it's clear from his follow-up report, he didn't really probably tell Makima everything. He hid things from her, and she obviously realized that. And he also tried to act like he was creating a barrier between him and Power, when in reality, that barrier is already broken. He is slowly becoming friends with Denji and also Power. So yeah, it's just little scenes like this, it really adds a lot. And I think that Chainsaw Man really is just an incredible show. Yeah, so I guess I'll leave it at that. Once again, if you enjoyed this video, as always, please do help me out and leave me a like. It allows the video to traverse the YouTube algorithm and more people to notice my content and get notified, because, you know, even if sometimes people are bell clicked, like you click the bell icon and subscribe, you don't always get notified. It really does come down to the likes and the comments down below. So if you do want to help me out, you know, leave a comment and leave a like. I would greatly appreciate that. But with that, be safe, stay healthy, guys, and I'll see you guys next week for Chainsaw Man Episode 5. Chibi out.